Joining me now is Republican Congressman Mark Sanford, a member of the so-called Freedom Caucus, who opposed the GOP's first attempt to repeal Obamacare. Congressman, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I want to start with what we just heard from President Trump. He wants Congress to pass a bill this week repealing and replacing Obamacare. Is it a pipe dream?
Maybe not. We'll see. I think it's an awfully tough dream, given the fact that, you got to whip the vote before you actually take the vote, and you just simply begin to run out of days in this week, given the fact that we have this big funding issue coming up at the end of the week. So it could happen. I think if it was to happen, more likely next week or something like that, but we'll see.
Obamacare includes a number of different protections for people with pre-existing conditions, but sources tell CNN that one of the things that Republican lawmakers are looking to do to try to break this logjam among Republicans is allowing states to obtain waivers to opt out of those rules. Can you confirm if that's part of the discussion right now?
I think that's accurate, and I think it makes good sense. The difficulty with what we had started with was you wouldn't let insurance be an insurance within the individual healthcare marketplace. And so you have folks who have real needs, profound healthcare needs. They've drawn a bad genetic lottery card or they've been in a car wreck. The Affordable Care Act has helped them, in fairness to the Affordable Care Act. But for a lot of other folks out there, they've seen their premiums skyrocket. They've seen less in the way of choice. And what a number of us have said is let that part be real insurance. And so I think that this splitting and allowing states to, if Vermont wants to do, in essence, a single-payer system and South Carolina wants to have a more market-based system, I think is something that makes sense and has a degree of pickup based on the conversations I've had with other members.
But, Congressman, the president was really explicit on the campaign trail, saying that these essential benefits would not go away for Americans. So wouldn't that be a broken promise for him that could ultimately come back to haunt Republicans in general?
I can't say what it would or wouldn't be for him. He, as you heard just a moment ago, said the plan keeps getting better and better and better. And the quote better that he's talking about are these very negotiations that have been taking place between somebody like Mark Meadows from the right, if you will, and somebody like MacArthur from the left, in the melding of different ideas within the Republican conference. So I don't know what it'd be for him, but what I do know is it represents a compromise that I think would allow this bill to leave the House and make its way to the Senate.
During last month's health care fight, Congressman, things got pretty heated between you and President Trump. In fact, it's been reported that the president threatened to back a primary challenger against you. Tell us what happened.
He sent as his emissary, Mick Mulvaney, who I've known a long time. He's from our state, and he's now the OMB director, and said, he said the president hopes you vote against this because he wants to run somebody against you if you do. I think that those kinds of threats are counterproductive. He's made those kinds of threats to any number of different members within the conference. And, it all, I guess, fits in love, war, and politics, but I don't think it's particularly productive to his own legislative agenda, and we'll see what comes.
What does it say about his clout with Republicans like you that he threatened to run a primary challenger against you, and you still said, I'm going to oppose this bill that you want me to support? You're not scared of him, are you?
Well, no, it's not that. It doesn't make anybody's day when the President of the United States says, I want to take you out. But what I would say is I don't work for him. I work for about 750,000 people here in the 1st Congressional District. I've had 8 town hall meetings. I finished my 8th one just this week over the last couple of months. And what I've heard from people at a level that I've never before heard in the world of politics is that people care deeply about this issue. It impacts them directly and very personally, and we better get it right. And the idea of checking the box saying we dealt with health care, but not taking into account both the considerations of the left and the right on this one, I think ultimately not my job. My job is to watch out for the folks that I'm hearing from here at home and to induce conservative ideals that I ran on, and I'm trying to do just that.
I just want to ask you about something I was just talking to Senator Durbin about, and before that, Secretary Kelly, the prospect of a looming government shutdown over possibly whether or not to fund the notorious wall that now President Trump campaigned very hard on. Do you think that wall is worth shutting the government down over?
No, and I don't think there will be a government shutdown. It's well beyond my pay grade as to what ultimately ends up in a bill of this sort, and I think that there will certainly be attempts to include it. I think that it's a Republican priority. I think there are still question marks about, wait a minute, this is the guy that said the Mexicans are going to pay for it, and now it's going to go on a spending bill that is borne by the U.S. taxpayer. So I think there's going to be debate on it. But I think ultimately it's still a Republican priority, and I don't think government will get shut down over it.
I just have to ask before we go, there's a website called beinglibertarian.com that's hoping that you are going to run against President Trump in 2020. You see the website up on the screen there. What do you think?
This is news to me, so you're making news. I've never heard of the website, know anything about it. I'm just going to try and survive.
Is there any chance you would run in
challenge and other things here
2020
in the
for
Congressional.
president?
No, I'm going to try and run for Congress. I've already got 2 primary challengers against me, and I'll deal with that.
Okay, thank you so much for your time this morning, Congressman. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.